Hello and welcome to those of you who have tuned in to this live Q&A session today. I'm Megan Ratcliffe and I'll be your guide for this 20-minute Q&A session about Finboot's fundraise growth plan and also how it aligns with the rapidly changing demands of supply chain management. So I'm really happy today to be joined by Executive Chair and Co-Founder of Finboot, Nish Kotecha, and CEO and co-founder Juan Miguel Perez. So it's unlikely that we'll have chance to take questions during this session, but our wonderful colleague Flavia, who's working tirelessly backstage, will be able to record and respond to any questions that come in. And failing that, if we can't get to your questions throughout the session, then we'll be able to get back to you after the session. So let's get started. And we'll start with some good news, actually. I've read in the media and seen in recent press release and also Finboot's brand new website that you've recently completed your latest fundraise. So congratulations on that. And Juan, this question's for you, really. As CEO of Finboot, maybe you could explain more about Finboot's growth plan.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for the question, and thanks everyone who managed to tune in to today's live stream. Look, first of all, I do have to give a huge thank you to all the team behind that fundraise you mentioned. Again, Nish as our chairman, our head of finance, Charlotte, both of them together with me led the charge on this process. We also have to thank those new and existing investors who believe in Finboot's mission and in our ability to execute. And of course, to everyone in the team whose continued commitment has gotten us here. Now it's a time to continue to grow. Now it's a time that we must accelerate that growth so that we can get the business into that next stage, right? So this latest injection will be, instrumental in furthering that development and commercialization of our flagship product, Marco Track and Trace, and to help us expand the company's global reach. So now is the time to leverage that momentum generated by this round and to execute, as you say, that ambitious growth strategy, right? That's something that we're focusing on three key areas or three main areas. So one is enhancing that product experience for our clients. We've actively heard the clients' needs, their requirements. We have an incredible industry know-how in our team. And this has helped us refine our product to better meet the needs of those clients, right? And there's already incredible examples of successful implementations and scaled up solutions with giants like Repsol, like Savic, and Cepsa. The second pillar of this is market expansion. So as businesses in those three core industries that we work, so oil and gas, chemicals and steel, as they continue to invest in sustainable products, in low carbon, renewable and circular products, their traceability requirements will grow increasingly complex. And we are here to help ease those pain points. So any business out there struggling to scale up their supply chain management of sustainability credits, struggling to map out carbon emissions throughout that supply chain, or struggling to access and share that valuable data across their entire value chain. Once more, and let me stress this, we are here to help, right? And of course, the third pillar of that is talent, right? It's talent retention, talent acquisition. This growth will lead to a bigger business with our existing team growing in their own roles and with new teammates joining us on this journey, right? So that's kind of the three pillars, as I've mentioned, of that strategy: product experience, market expansion, and talent.
That's great. Thank you, Juan. And very clear insights there to those three pillars. So you spoke about marketing and kind of the marketing strategy, market trends. And Nish, I suppose as Finboot's exec chair, what market trends have you seen between the previous fundraise and this latest one? And how have you adapted your strategy to respond to this evolution, if you like?
So thank you. And firstly, thank you, Megan, for hosting us on this live stream today. And thank you, Juan, my partner here, for your comments earlier. I concur, but the point here is it's not an adaptation of strategy. It's understanding that if the end result is greater transparency through something like a digital product passport, or the data required to generate a credit, which in itself becomes a revenue opportunity for our clients. In order to get to that end result, you need to start at the beginning of the supply chain. And there's very clearly many competitors. We work in a competitive industry, which is fantastic. And there's many competitors who will say, no, you can upload data manually at this point of the process, and that is sufficient in order to generate the end result of a transparency passport or credit or other requirements that regulators are increasingly asking for. And I'll come back to that in a second. The answer is you can't. If you're really going to participate in a circular, sustainable economy, if you're really going to look for ways to de-risk your supply chain, then you need full transparency along the chain, end to end. And over time, that will move from being tagged on physical products to collecting data directly from whatever basic system exists with that supplier. And what we built was that platform. We didn't build it last week. We built it years ago, envisaging exactly this challenge, which is data becomes the core requirement to prove and validate what you are claiming. But you cannot collect data only at the endpoint. You have to collect it throughout the chain. And that data collected through our platform can provide a de-risking of the entire supply chain, because you start to see where your product is, where the workflows are, who is telling you what, in a single source of truth, immutable fashion. So we think of our database, and we use blockchain for that purpose, but we think of that as being a unique database because of the way it can record transactions throughout the end-to-end supply chain that we're looking for. So just to add, it's not us asking, it's our clients requiring, and they are being asked, and then over the next few years being required to provide the granularity of data that we can access, which we collect and make available throughout that chain. And before that becomes a must-do with penalties and tax, today it is a, look, we're going in this direction, so get your technology to help you solve this requirement, because the requirement's not going away. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, yeah. And I think later on it would be great to explore more of that idea about de-risking. But in the meantime, I would like to ask Juan, you attended last year's climate change conference, so COP28 in Dubai, and you were attending as a guest with SABIC being one of your key clients. My next question to you is, what risks are such capital-intensive manufacturing companies identifying?
Yeah, so look, speaking at COP was of course an incredible opportunity for me. It was one that I found tremendously uplifting, right? As I saw these industry leaders discuss openly some of the kind of biggest decarbonization and sustainability initiatives that they are running. But they were also opening up to some of the challenges that they are facing with those initiatives, right? So to me, validating once more how critical traceability in the supply chain is, that was, again, incredibly uplifting in many ways, right? It really showed that we are on the right track. One of the comments that kind of came as the aftermath of COP is that in 2023, COP went mainstream, right? And that's something that I kind of agree with it, and in a very, very positive way. I think we do need COP to go mainstream. Regulation, of course, will continue to be a key part of the equation. seeing businesses look at sustainability and decarbonization from the lens of a market opportunity is super important. So I'm glad that these businesses aren't thinking that their low carbon, renewable, and circular products are just a duty or something that they must do, or like a pain in a way, but they are rather seeing them as opportunities for growth, opportunities to improve margins, and opportunities to create new revenue streams, right? For them and for their organizations and for their ecosystem. So that shift in mentality of, well, actually ESG poses perhaps the biggest business opportunity over the next few years. That was one of the great achievements of COP, right? And that continued to be validated earlier this year in Davos, in the World Economic Forum. The regulatory landscape, as I said, that continues to be super important. That global commitment to move away from fossils is a true milestone. It's, of course, the biggest achievement that came out of COP. But now we need to track that move as well, right? Or this moving away. We need national regulators to move quickly, and we need them to move more quickly than they have in the past. I know we're going to talk a little bit about that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, I think, again, regulation plays a key role, but looking at ESG and sustainability and looking at the energy transition as a business opportunity, that to me is basically the right path forward.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Yeah. And I suppose focusing on that pace and the need to kind of meet those requirements now is really, really crucial for these businesses. So I'd like to talk specifically about the circularity panel that SABIC and others were on, and talk mainly about the solutions that could be applied to supply chain risks in particular.
Yeah, so as you know, I've worked with we've been working with SABIC for over 2 years now. One of our flagship clients as well, helping them in the traceability of their Through Circle portfolio, so tracking essentially the way they produce circular polymers for packaging solutions. With that experience, with some of the initiatives that we're exploring beyond that, and with the conversation that I had with SABIC, Microsoft was also a part of that panel. The kind of the key message was that collaboration is key, right? So collaboration is king in many ways, right? You need value chain stakeholders to come together, to agree to share this data, to be able to kind of provide that transparency and that trust to the end clients, to the consumers, and to the regulator. Now, to do that, you need systems that provide the essentially reliability and the underlying infrastructure for this data sharing to be unlocked, if you will, right? And that's precisely where we're positioning our digital solutions.
Excellent. So next question, and this is one to you both, and I suppose to round the session up, but I'm sure we can explore this in great length. We've got a bit of time. How do you both envision the future of the regulatory environment evolving around supply chain management? So basically, what's next? Will it differ according to geography and region? So Juan, let's start with you, and then we'll move on to Nish, if that's okay.
Thank you. And look, there's a lot of movement and a lot of changes in regulation. Europe certainly continues to be in the lead. Things like CBAM, RED 2, CSRD, digital product mandates, the incoming greenwashing, net zero industry, critical raw materials. The list goes on, right? And that's great, and they've kind of proven their position there. But we're also seeing interesting initiatives across North America, India, and China. We had a couple of our ebooks last year where we're kind of looking at the global regulatory landscape. I'm going to ask our team to share that link in the comments so that the people can have access to that kind of full review of the regulations, right? But as I said, ultimately, yes, Europe continues to be in that lead, but also for global businesses, the toughest regulatory environment will pretty much set the benchmark, right? We've seen this already, right? Not necessarily on sustainability, but we've seen how GDPR had an impact not just in Europe, but globally, and it increased the level of how we manage and protect consumer data. We've seen it more recently with Apple's move to USB-C in their iPhone chargers, right? That's European regulation that ultimately has a global impact because this is setting the kind of global standards basis, right? So I think businesses already understand that this is happening. The question, as I mentioned before, right, the question that should be in every boardroom, the question that should be in every executive meeting is, how do I turn this energy transition and this decarbonization that will be mandated sooner rather than later, but how do I move quickly and turn that into a high value and high growth business opportunity for my organization? And that's precisely what our digital solutions can enable our clients to do. So Nish, sorry, go ahead.
Well, you've covered the key points, but I mean, just to give you a sense of how current it is, and I'm sure most of our clients understand this. In February 28th of February 24, the European Union passed a directive which, quote, empowering consumers for the green transition through better protection against unfair practices and through better information. Excuse me. Now, better information requires supply chain granularity. But it's not just granularity based on an email or a message or a Word document or a PDF that follows after the product has been completed and maybe sold. It's real time. And unless you are able to trace your supply chain with that level of granularity and that level of immutability, so you're collecting the data with everyone knowing that that data is then locked. Can't be manipulated, can't be changed, but locked. So there becomes a single source of truth for that data. How can you provide better information to the consumer? Because today the information is simply not good enough. And it's not good enough because of the way supply chains are connected digitally, they're not. And the way that you are dealing with very disparate levels of digital infrastructure, from a large component within the supply chain to someone who may just have a laptop or a smart device, trying to communicate information that's now required for them to do business. And I was at a very interesting conference yesterday, and I won't name which one. You can go to my LinkedIn and see who it was. And I thought that the description of our technology and what we're trying to build was really good. Universal trade infrastructure. Trade is all about trust. And when you start exchanging information that you can't trust, you can't trade. So the reverse of that is to put infrastructure in place, knowing that when you're exchanging and moving data between each other, it's trusted. And that will facilitate greater trade.
Excellent point. I think that's a great way of summarizing everything that's been discussed so far. Before we round up, I just wanted to ask you both if you have any final thoughts or any additional wisdom to impart on our lovely listeners today.
Nish, go ahead then.
Well, I guess the final comment for us is, come and meet us. We would welcome the opportunity to talk to you and demonstrate what we're doing and what we've built to enable trade 2.0, whatever that looks like. So we very much welcome the opportunity to meet.
We're getting back out there, right? Again, you're more than welcome to reach out to Nish, to myself, to anyone in the team, through our website, through LinkedIn. But next week, Nish, you're going to be at a Tech Circular event in the Netherlands. Where is that exactly?
In Belgium.
In Belgium, sorry.
Part of a Tech Tour circular event, correct.
I'll be there mid-May, back in Brussels as well, for an AMI polymers event, talking about our work with SABIC, and we'll be in mid-June at the Gartner Global Symposium, Global Supply Chain Symposium here in Barcelona, right? So especially for that one, there's going to be a few announcements coming up soon of things that we want to be doing and launching as well, right? So as I said, this is kind of step one of these new and exciting things that we're announcing. Do stay in touch, stay tuned, because more interesting things are coming.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you both, Juan and Nish, for your participation and providing insight into Finboot's current position in the market. I think it goes without saying that Finboot, you guys are playing an essential role in helping capital-intensive industries like steel and chemicals de-risk their supply chains. And I think your message about the importance of circularity is one that I hope all of us and our listeners can take away from this session. Reaching net zero is impossible unless we work together, so collaboration is key. And Finboot is leading the way in this space and developing tools to inspire others to seek green supply chain management solutions. So if we did not get around to answering your questions today, we will get back to you. And if you would like to continue the conversation, please reach out to us on LinkedIn. Get in touch. We're here, and visit our website, which is www.finboot.com. Thank you very much for tuning in, and goodbye.